Hello, welcome to St Michael's Hill. This video is a follow-up from my 250 subscriber giveaway. Thank you to everyone who posted a comment on there, leaving a question. Today I'm going to answer those questions and I'm going to do the draw to see who wins this wagon. So I'll run through the questions basically first, and then at the end we'll do a draw. I've put everyone's name who asked a question into an online spinner thing, and then we'll give it a go and see what comes out. So let's start with the first questions. I've got my laptop here, and I'll probably just be reading your questions off of here, and we'll get into some discussion and see where it goes. You may have noticed this is the first time I've actually filmed myself, my face on camera, so that's slightly weird, but I kind of thought doing this sort of thing, it's probably a bit more interesting if you can see my face rather than anything else. So let's go for it. First question is from Richard at Junction, who asks, what are your favourite niche YouTube channels to watch? I guess other than kind of model railway stuff, I'm very into a channel called Wendover Productions, who talk a lot about transport, but all sorts of things really. It's a very interesting channel. I'll put a link below, but basically anything that you kind of want to know about air travel, train travel, how countries are formed, all that sort of stuff. They go through it on that channel, and it's just really interesting sort of stuff. In terms of what model railway niche stuff I like, it's generally all modern image. I don't watch too many steam channels just because it's not something that I'm really interested in, and I watch a few real life railway channels as well. So Keynsham Trains, I think, is the one who films a lot around my way, so I watch a lot of his videos or her videos, I'm not sure, but yeah, that's probably the main channels I watch. Lester TMD has asked, what do you enjoy filming more, real life trains or your model railway? In terms of what I enjoy filming more, I'd probably say real life trains, just because I kind of find the whole experience of just going out, spending some time by myself, getting some of it on camera is quite relaxing. It's quite nice, just to see what comes along really. I enjoy modelling probably more than that. Filming the videos is interesting and it's fun, but probably I find that side of things slightly more not stressful, but it's just remembering to film as we go. Often I just get carried away in the doing of the modelling and forgetting to actually document any of it. So in terms of what I like to film more, it's probably the trains. Gary at Cheeky Tech has asked if there was going to be a future layout or bigger layout in the future, would I try and incorporate St Michael's Hill into it? It's a good question, Gary. Thank you for asking it. I kind of a bit undecided really. So I've said on a few occasions that I am moving fairly soon, probably in March now. Things have been a little bit delayed, but when I do move, I will be looking to kind of create a new layout with some more space that I'm going to have. Part of me would really like to kind of incorporate St Michael's Hill into that layout. There's a big part of me that doesn't want that to go to waste, and it would just be nice to see how that would fit inside of a bigger kind of scene. And some of the limitations around St Michael's Hill are to do with its size and all that sort of stuff. So it would be quite nice in some ways to kind of take all that away and put it into a larger setting. However, there are a few things that kind of make me less sure. The first is that the track I've used is Code 100, which I probably would like to use 75 or even Pico's Bullhead track on the new layout. So that would cause a few problems. I could, of course, just take out the track and reimagine that. The other thing I would also quite like with St Michael's Hill is just to finish it. So kind of get the fiddle yard put in and just have it as a layout separate to its, itself. If it was ever a case of exhibiting it or something, that's something I could look into. But yeah, I'm undecided. It's kind of pros and cons either way, really. Tim at the Scrapline Model Railway / Exton Lara has asked, what part of modelling do I find the hardest? Undoubtedly that is electrics. You may have seen from some of my electrics videos, I just barely know what I'm doing. Always afraid I'm going to blow something up or kill myself. But yeah, that's certainly the thing that I find the most difficult. But having said that, it's good to kind of push myself to learn these things, and it's something that I think I've done okay with so far. I think the electrics on some of my hill, they all work, all the lights work, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's not too bad. Peter Dean has asked, he says he's nervous about putting his voice on camera, I suppose, and worried about sounding silly, and how do I kind of get over that? Well, I know that feeling very well. I'm kind of feeling that again now, actually, from just having my face on camera. It's something that's a little bit different, something that you have to kind of get over, I guess. And I guess the simple answer is just do it. I don't think your voice sounds as weird to other people as it does to yourself. I know in my head I certainly don't think I sound the way I do on camera, but maybe I do. I remember when I was doing my first ever video, I sent it to Richard at New Junction, and basically just kind of said, I'm a bit worried, how does this sound, and he got back to me, and it was very encouraging, and it just gave me the confidence to throw out my video. And I've never had anyone tell me anything, that I sound silly or anything. So fingers crossed, it's just something that you do, and I don't think you sound silly. So yeah, I'd just say, Pete, crack on with it, see what happens. He also asks about adding shrubbery and bushes to his layout, and what kind of scenic items would be best for this. I tend to use Woodland Scenics range. I start with kind of earth colours in the scatter, put those down, and then start adding some greens before I get onto kind of fine turf, coarse turf, before adding bushes and undergrowth. And you can also use static grass as well. Richard at Everard Junction has a great video on how to do this, as well. Actually, David at Dean Park Station recently put one up, so well worth checking those out. Both of those guys are probably far better at all that stuff than me, so go look at their videos. I'll try and link them in the description below, and yeah, go and have a look, and hopefully you'll get some great results. Paul at Galgorm Hall has asked if I could take only 3 model railway items to a desert island, what would they be? Well, I guess the kind of simple answer is trains, track, and a controller. At least then I could run trains, assuming there was power. But potentially it might be better to take some sort of super complicated kit, some glue and some paints, and that'll probably keep me going for a few months, and then I guess I'll either try and escape or just top myself. But yeah, it's that would probably be the answer. It's a good question, Paul. Ron Goodwin has asked, which type of couplings do I prefer? The honest answer, Ron, is that I only use tension lock couplings at the moment generally. There are a few reasons for that. Firstly, all the stock that I buy comes with tension lock couplings. I obviously had a lot of older Hornby and Lima stock when I first started up again, and obviously that came with those, and I've kind of feel that the new Bachmann and new Hornby stuff is a real treat anyway, that the small tension lock coupling, so I'm quite happy with them for the moment. But I do like the look of KDs, so I will at some point be looking to work with some KDs. There is a project I'm working on at the moment that I'm kind of filming videos for, that you will hopefully see in the next couple of months, where it's basically going to be a fixed train, or at least semi-fixed permanent rake of wagons. And I might look to use some KDs on those, just to kind of, as an initial kind of step into the world. And then I just need to make a decision about what I'm going to do on the locos, whether I put KDs on all of those and then basically use certain coaches or wagons as kind of barriers, or conversion vehicles with a KD at one end and a tension lock at the other, or not. So I will have a look into that. It's partly down to cost. I mean, it's just adding another kind of £4 or £5 to each loco if to put KDs on. But it's something I'll look into. KDs are certainly my preferred choice when it comes to the way that they look. So the one other thing to say about couplings is I also have a bunch of TTA tank wagons. You may have seen a couple of them on the layout a fair bit. They've got kind of custom couplings that I've kind of just built out of wire. I quite like that as an idea. It was a very cheap way of doing it, but I did them at the very beginning of my reintroduction to the hobby, and frankly some of them aren't great, so I might re-examine those and redo them. But again, it's for something where there's going to be a fixed rake. That's quite a good way of doing it, either custom ones or KD. So right now I use tension locks, but in the future I'll look at other things. Jason at Barnabas Junction, hello mate. He's asked what first attracted me to model railways. The short answer is I can't really remember. The long answer is I think it was my granddad. So at years and years and years ago, I think it was my 5th birthday, I was given the Hornby Midnight Express train set. So the class 58 and a load of wagons, and I just, I really liked it, but I played with it a fair bit. And I think my granddad at the time used to do lots of boot sales, and he'd used to go and just pick up bits and pieces, so I'd end up with various bridges and bits of station and wagons and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's kind of where it started. And then when I was around probably 15 or 16, I wasn't too well. I couldn't go out with friends too much, and I got quite into kind of model railways again, to a kind of certain level, but my abilities weren't great, and after it was one of those things, I guess probably I didn't think was very cool, or I was worried about people thinking it was uncool, so I kind of stopped. And then I recently, so probably kind of October of 2016, around that sort of time, I had a few changes going on in my life, and I kind of found it again, and I really, really love it. And what I've been amazed by is the community and the YouTube side of things and the Facebook groups, which obviously, Jason, you were a massive part of setting up one of those groups. And you guys have all made me feel so welcome, so that's kind of a massive part of why I do it now. But good question. Wearside Rail has asked, what station would I like to film from and or model? In terms of filming from, I'd quite like to film from York Station, just because it's a beautiful station, but it's more about what trains I can see, and generally that means finding spots that aren't at stations, or maybe are at stations where these trains don't stop. So kind of finding one of a station on the West Coast Main Line, for example, which only a few trains stop at, is always good. I do a lot of my filming at Patchway and Pilning. Nothing stops at Pilning anymore. Certainly, I think there's 1 train or 2 trains a week, so generally nothing stops there. So it's just quite good to kind of have a good platform to get nice and close without kind of trespassing at all, but seeing the trains go past at a fair speed. So that's probably the sort of place I'd like to film from. I would like to get up north a little bit more. I was up at Doncaster last year and enjoyed that, so maybe go up near Crewe or something. And then something I'd like to model, I'm really interested in modelling St Andrews Road, or taking a lot of inspiration from St Andrews Road, which is a very small station near Avonmouth docks. So it's kind of a very industrial area. It's near the right next to the Bristol bulk handling terminal, which is just a very interesting kind of operation. So FR71D has asked, could I do a video to explain how I created the smash glass on the waiting shelter? It's probably not worth a video in itself. So all I really did was I got the shelter, and then I got a kind of Dremel type thing. It wasn't a Dremel, it was a smaller kind of rotary blade, and just put a sander on it and effectively just attacked that window pane with that, and it kind of left quite a frosted, like smashed up look, and created lots of little fragments of plastic, which I then collected and put on the platform base, so it was like it was smashed glass, and it gave quite a decent effect on the actual shelter itself. So that's all I did basically, and then I just made sure that the shelter itself looked a little bit weathered by kind of getting it a bit wet, putting a wash on it, just so it doesn't look too kind of pristine and clear. And then I added some graffiti transfers, which I think were from Railtech. Just added those and generally gave it the vandalised look. And then finally I got some little cones, I think might have been from Scale Model Senior, I'm not sure. And then basically used a piece of tooth floss, not the tape, it's like a floss tape, which I then used a permanent marker to kind of put red and white lines, or red lines on the white thing, and then wrap that around. You may have noticed actually the after a few weeks the red lines are basically all bled, so it now just looks like a red tape. If you go back to the first videos of it, you'll see that it's quite a crisp line. So yeah, that was a bit annoying at the time, but it's not too much of a problem. Hugh at Alanudi Central has asked, what locomotive or general modelling item would I like to see produced in the next year? I'm already looking forward to the Class 66 from Hatton's. I've got one of those on pre-order, and I also have another loco on pre-order that I'm hoping to get next week, which I will keep under my hat for now and then put up a review. But I would really like to see someone model a tamper, something like that. I think there's one in HO scale, but it'd be great if someone did kind of a 00 version. It's something that you see quite a lot around on the network now. It'd just be a great little kind of model, but I'm not really sure if there's really the market for it, but you never know. Fred Rich has asked, what do I record my videos on, and what editing software do I use? It's all done on my iPhone, so an iPhone 8, and it's all edited on iMovie at the moment. However, it is something that I really want to look to improve, so I am kind of looking at other options, other kind of software. I'll probably keep recording on my iPhone. I actually bought a mini cube camera after the videos that Matt Slade and Richard at New Junction put out, so I've got one of those, which I'll certainly add to the camera equipment, but I'll probably keep using my iPhone, and yeah, I will look at other editing software for the modelling videos. I think for the train spotting videos, iMovie's totally fine, you don't need anything else, but yeah, I'd quite like to add a few other things which iMovie either doesn't do or I don't know how to do, so I'm going to look into that a little bit more. Colin Busby has asked, do I think respacing the sleepers is worth it? So I did it, and for me it is worth it. However, there are a few caveats. For me, I did it on a very small layout. It didn't take me long to do. If there's a bigger layout, it's something that I still would do, but I probably would be tearing my hair out a lot more, which is partly why I'm considering using the bullhead track on a future layout, so I don't need to worry too much about that. The other thing is, it's the point. So for me, I didn't respace the sleepers and the points. so that doesn't look great. And I also think I struggled a little bit to, when the spaces are all respaced, they're effectively all loose. It's then making sure that they are correctly, spaced out when it goes down. And I think there are some areas on St Michael's Hill where I'm not quite happy with how those sleepers are spaced. So yes, it's worth it, but I don't think I've had it too bad. I'm just going to grab a drink. So Strathpepper Spa Model Railway, Alistair from that channel has asked, what is my favourite and least liked part of St Michael's Hill and why? My favourite part is probably the canal, or the area between the bay platform and the marshalling yard, so where all the scrap area and the road is. I think that's come out really, really well. I'm really happy with that. The level of detail in there is I'm really happy with it, basically. The canal as well, it was, again, for one of the first things I did, I'm really, really pleased with how the water's come out. I just may need to look at the boats again and kind of repaint those now that I've got a few extra kind of skills and techniques that will hopefully improve those. In terms of the thing I like least, apart from the fact that right now it's not a complete layout and there's no fiddle yard, and that's very frustrating, and I will sort that out when I get to my new place. I think the other thing might just be the platform surface itself, so that there's elements I really like. By the platform edges, I'm really pleased with how all that went down with the plasticard and the different textures, but the actual surface itself I'm not so keen on, and there are points where it's not really level, and that's definitely probably my least favourite part, although I noticed that a lot less now that I've added the detailing around the platform. Dipper Town Junction, John has asked, what do I find most challenging yet rewarding? And a bit like what I said earlier, I suppose, it's the electric stuff. So it's a massive challenge for me to get all the electrics done, but once I've done them and lights come on when I turn a switch, I find that hugely rewarding. He also asked if I was coming to Western next weekend, which is the Western Supermare show. Unfortunately, that was last weekend and I wasn't able to make it, so hopefully next year, John. Anthony Dodge, the model train outsider, has asked what was the first train I remember riding as a kid. That would have definitely been, I was living in Wokingham at the time when I was very young. So that would have been a train from Wokingham to Reading. So probably it was either a class 101 or a 4 VEP, I believe, 423 or 421. Someone might know which of those kind of slam door stock would have been running that route from Waterloo to Reading, but I think it was a 4 VEP, 423. So that was probably the first train I remember riding. Ash behind the cameras asks, what is my favourite locomotive and what's a good station to see that loco at? So I guess my favourite locomotive really is the class 43 HST, which are getting harder and harder to see now, but luckily where I live, I'm close to Bristol, so I can go down to Temple Meads if I want to. The occasional one still does run through Parkway, down past Pilning, but also I can go up to Charfield or Yate and watch and see the cross-country HSTs as they're going from kind of the Midlands down towards Devon. So for me that's good, but if you want to see a lot of those, probably Reading is a good place to go. The loco that I like seeing the most now is 37s. 37s are the ones, 37s and 47s. I love seeing both of those. So, but really, it's kind of wherever, either finding a rail tour or a stock movement or something. So, I think I've seen a couple of 37s at Pilning, and then I saw a couple of 47s pulling a load of Mark III stock at Nailsea and Blackwell the other day. So I'll put a link in the I button now, and yeah, go check out that video too. Graham Collins has asked, during the construction of St Michael's Hill, was there a point where you hit the wall and wondered why you were putting yourself through this? Yes and no, not really. I've generally kind of been able to kind of keep pushing forwards with it. There are, I think the thing that I'm kind of putting off, if you want, is the fiddle yard, just kind of getting that done, and that's probably what I really need to do. So that's probably the closest thing I get to kind of hitting a wall. So there's a few more questions, so I'll go through those now, and then I'll get on to drawing the winner for this wagon. So the next question is from St Peter's Layout. So what's the next challenge? Like I've just said there, I really need to get on with the fiddle yard. Arrows of Indecision has asked, if I was to redo St Michael's Hill from scratch, what would I do differently? I think the biggest thing is to kind of get on with the electrics earlier and the fiddle yard earlier, getting it all running so I could run trains a bit more, and basically it would make my videos interesting. I was probably on YouTube for 3 or 4 months before I even had a train running in any of the videos, so from a YouTube point of view that's not great, but also it meant I couldn't play trains. So I think I would get it all up and running as it was supposed to be from a track point of view, and then I'd go from there. But when I first started, I literally didn't even have a DCC controller or anything like that, so yeah, I think that wouldn't be an issue this time. Pride of Pendle says, how do I weather my track? What paints do I use? So it's quite simple really. I just airbrush with Sleeper Grime, and then add kind of blacks and oils around the kind of areas where the trains would be stationary for a long time. And then I use, or before I do that, I use Woodland Scenics track pens in rust on some of the tracks. So on St Michael's Hill, the tracks in the marshalling yard are all kind of rusted a lot more than the tracks that are on the platform. So that's what I do. Bishop's Grove asks, will St Michael's Hill receive electrification? Simply no. It's kind of based around kind of the Exeter area, between Exeter and Bristol really, in the 90s, so definitely there was no electrification there. I'm not massively interested in electrification anyway. All of my kind of favourite locos are 37s, 47s, HSTs, 60s, 56s, all diesel, so no, basically. Ono Mulder has asked, why is there a double O and an HO scale, and why not just one scale? I'm probably not the best person to answer this, but as far as I'm aware, it's just a case of a different scale for whatever reason, and really double O should be run on a different track. I think it's double O is the one that's a bit odd in that HO is correct scale track for the trains, double O is slightly different, so a lot of people think they're kind of similar because they run on the same track. I think if it was double O had a genuine track, which I guess what P4 and EM and fine scale track is, there wouldn't be really that question, but I'm probably not the best person to ask on. Andrew Clegg has asked, which YouTube channel do I find most useful? To be honest, if I'm struggling to learn something, Richard at Everard is kind of my go-to guy. He's like, if he knows how to do it, he probably, well, if I don't know how to do it, he probably does, and he's probably made a video about it. I told him that when I met him at Worley, and yeah, I think a lot of us in this scene would kind of think that. But also, there's a few other channels that, you know, I love watching. So Joe at Dudley Central, I kind of feel that me and him, you know, probably face similar issues, and we're at a similar kind of stage to a lot of what we do, so it's interesting to see how he's doing it. Richard at New Junction is massive inspiration for me doing this channel, and is an absolute top bloke with a pretty dark sense of humour, which is always good. Gary at Cheeky Tech is the nicest guy. Honestly, I met him at Worley and he just made me feel like, you know, it's just super like valuable to this community, and he is incredible. So top guy. And then I guess a few other ones to mention. Jason at Barnabas Junction does so many things for this kind of scene. David at Dean Park, David at Cottesmore, and then the other channel that I really enjoy because he models the same era as me and is doing it to an incredible level is Marcus at Gowerton Parkway. All of his layouts are incredible. His new one of the nuclear flask depot just looks insane. I can't wait for him to put some videos out about that. So those are probably the ones for me. So Dave Cottesmore has asked what is in store for 2019 on my channel. So hopefully you'll be seeing bits of the new layout. I've got a few new locos on pre-order that I'll be reviewing. I'm doing the HST series, the Hornby HST series that I've just started, so I'm modifying a couple of old Hornby HSTs to have buffers, and one will be kind of a broken down one, so I've been doing a lot of the modelling for that this week, so that series is coming along nicely. I've also just started to do the modelling for a series on barrier wagons for nuclear flasks during the 90s, so another thing that I kind of started to film and will probably be going for the next few months. And then the last question from William F is, have I ever had a cab ride or anything on the rails? Do I plan to do such a video? No is the answer. I haven't, but I would love to. So if you can sort that out for me, or if you guys all want to fund me to go do that, amazing, I would happily film it. But no, it is something I would love to do, especially if I could do it in kind of a 37 or a 47 or something like that. But yeah, I'll see. So that is all the questions answered. So I guess it just leaves me to kind of do the draw. So that's all the questions answered. Thank you to everyone who sent one in. It's been a lot of fun to kind of answer those, get my face on camera for the first time, get my ugly mug out there for you all to see. I've added everyone's name who's asked the question to the spin the wheel at randomnamepicker.net, and basically whoever is the winner is going to win this Lima Sea Cow wagon. It's a great little wagon. All these white parts here are all separately fitted, which is really good for the kind of a Lima model. And yeah, we'll see who the winner is. But before I do, I just want to say thank you to every single one of you. Anyone who watches this video, who has watched any of my videos, the support that you guys give me is great. Being part of this community is a wonderful thing, and yeah, just keep it up, everyone. I really enjoy watching all your videos and all that sort of good stuff. So yeah, keep it up, and I'm going to press this play button now, and we're going to see who comes out winning. If the winner could drop me an email to the address in the description, that would be great. I'll arrange getting the wagon out to you early next week, and yeah, go from there. If for whatever reason you don't want the wagon, let me know, and I will do a draw without you in it. I know some of you are probably more interested in train spotting rather than modelling, and that's cool. If you don't want it, just let me know, and we'll get it to someone who will use it. But yeah, other than that, good luck, everyone. It's Richard from New Junction. Congratulations, Richard. Yeah, drop me an email, mate, or hit me up on Facebook, and I'll get this sent out to you if you want it. And yeah, sorry to everyone who didn't win, but that's how it goes in the random world of spin the wheel. Yeah, thanks very much, guys, and I'll see you next week on St Michael's Hill. Goodbye.